Who will give answer? Padma Priya, Shaktivel, Pradashni.
Ma'am.
Yeah, proceed, Padma Priya.
Types of it is a source, electrolyte source of light in atomic absorption. It is of two types of electrorods, halo cathode lamp and electrorod less discharge. In a halo cathode lamp, it consists example sodium metal coated in cathode. In sodium analysis, um, e- electrode less discharge lamp only of 15 element is used. In excited state, emits radiation. Ground to excited state absorption electrical energy. Squat or transmitted UV radiation. In instrumentation, halocathode lamp, chopper, flame, or radiation is entered into the polychromatic light to monochromatic after the sample compartment. Lens to focus and director to direct the sample. Now, atomization process, a solution sample, spray, and free atoms. A nebulizer is used to spray the liquid sample in the form of droplet liquid. Dissolution is the process of high temperature solvent in remote. This remote. While volatilization, free atoms like sodium and chloride atoms are being
Okay, thank you, Padma Priya. Anybody else can say the remaining points about atomic absorption spectroscopy? Others can also give answers. The remaining points, whatever she didn't cover on atomic absorption, you can say. Application part, interferences. Bimal, Subadarshni, Jackson.
Ma'am.
Yeah, proceed now. Give answers on interferences and applications of atomic absorption spectroscopy. Just give the titles. Make it fast.
We have seen about the types of electrodes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Halo cathode lamp and electrode less discharge lamp, ma'am.
I asked about interferences and applications only. She already said all those things, no? Electrodes, instrumentation, all Padma Priya has explained. You just say about interferences and applications.
Okay, ma'am. Uh, Atomic line overlap, ma'am. Interference type.
Yeah.
Uh, Cause of that interference is the spectral profile of two elements, ma'am,
Okay.
within the range of 0.01 nm, ma'am, and it results in the higher experimental absorption value, ma'am.
Okay.
Molecular band and line overlap, ma'am. Next interference type. So it causes the cause of interference is spectral profile of an element overlap with molecular band, ma'am. So higher experimental absorption value value than the real value. The result is, ma'am. Next interference type is physical, ma'am, and
Okay.
its causes it if physical properties of the sample and the standard are different, uh, the atomization can be affected, ma'am. The number of free affect the number of free atom population, ma'am. So it results in direction depending upon the conditions, ma'am.
Okay.
Volatilization, ma'am. Uh, the rate of volatilization is not the same for the sample, ma'am, as for the standard. So it may cause direction depending upon the conditions, ma'am. According to the conditions, it will be varied, ma'am.
Yeah.
Next, ionization, ma'am. Uh, in that atoms are ionized at the temperature, ma'am. The temperature, according to the temperature, it will be ionized, ma'am, of the flame or furnace, ma'am. With the help of flame or furnace, the resultant will be a lower experimental absorption value than the real value, ma'am. Then light scattering, solid particles scattered the beam of light, ma'am. So higher experimental absorption value than the real value, ma'am, resultant. In chemical, the chemical being analyzed is contained within a compound in the analyte, and that is not atomized, ma'am. So here the result will be lower experimental absorption value than the real value, ma'am.
Applications. Say about applications. Since it is applicable for elemental analysis, mainly metals. So, what are the type of different types of samples with elements can be analyzed? So, focus on that way. So, it will be easy to recollect the points regarding applications. Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Jackson and Padma Priya, for your explanations. Deepan, can you say about applications of atomic absorption spectroscopy? Deepan, Rubeshwaran, Rubeshwaran, Saktivel, Subhadarshini, one of you say about applications of atomic absorption spectroscopy. Pam? How many times I have to ask? Hmm? Whether you are present for the class, all of you then switch on your camera so that I can see what you are doing. Hmm? Give answers. Unmute your mic and give answers on applications. Or at least type your answers in chat box. If no answers, then I will start the class, okay? Yeah, Vimal. Yeah, proceed, Vimal. Your voice is not clear, pa. Baby Kartika. Jetlin. So whoever is not answering, I'll put absent, okay? When I ask if anybody is not responding, we'll get absent for that particular class, okay? Yeah. Jetling.
Yes, ma'am.
Say applications of atomic absorption spectroscopy.
Application. It is used in food technology, pharmaceuticals, biomonitoring.
Can you say some example of samples in various industries that can be analyzed by atomic absorption spectroscopy? What kind of samples will be having elements?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, proceed, ma'am.
I'm not audible, ma'am.
What kind of samples will be analyzed by atomic absorption spectroscopy? Whether water has elements, whether water sample has elements, whether clinical samples will be having elements, whether food materials containing nutrient elements.
Metals.
Yeah, the all can be analyzed by atomic absorption spectroscopy, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Potassium.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your answers. Let's
Thank,
move to the next topic.
thank you, ma'am.
All of you kindly mute your mic. So now let's proceed with the fluorimetric analysis. Whether my voice is clear?
Yes, ma'am. Audible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Then listen to the class. Now let's move on to fluorimetric analysis. Okay, this is your 47th class. With the fluorimetric analysis title, I would like to conclude for your second sessional exam portions. Okay, whatever we have covered after first sessional exam portions will be included for your second sessional. Okay, mostly electrophoresis from chromatography, it was not included, right, in first sessional. So that portion, and UV visible spectroscopy, all absorption spectroscopic techniques, UV visible and atomic absorption, along with fluorimetric analysis. These four titles will be included for your second sessional examination. Electrophoresis, okay. Then in spectroscopy, what are the titles I said? All absorption spectroscopic techniques, UV visible spectroscopy and atomic absorption spectroscopy. And in emission spectroscopy, fluorimetry. Okay, there's three spectroscopic techniques. And then in chromatography, electrophoresis. Okay, these all four techniques will be included for your second sessional theory exam. Practical, whatever we are covering in the practical, from which I will be giving the synopsis and experiment, where viva will be from your theory portions. This is what your second sessional portion, so you can prepare accordingly. The next week in the timetable, I have given atomic emission spectroscopy to be covered. According to the time given, I'll be covering that and will be included in the second sessional portion, or else I'll avoid atomic emission topic for your second session. You can revise in the next week. You can go for revision of second sessional portions, and you can get ready for your exams. Okay, so only four topics: fluorimetry, atomic absorption, UV visible, and then electrophoresis. These four topics will be included for your second sessional exam. Okay, clear? No? Portions clear, right? So now let's move on to the fluorimetric analysis. It will be included in your second sessional examination. And fluorimetric analysis is nothing but why it is termed as fluorimetry means fluorescence. Fluorescence is nothing but some emission of light. Okay, so it is coming under emission spectroscopy. Since emission of light is measured in this spectroscopic technique, it is called as fluorimetric analysis, and it comes under emission spectroscopy. What is going to emit the light means a molecule. The whole molecule will be emitting its characteristic light. So this is coming under molecular emission spectroscopy. Okay, molecular absorption spectroscopy. What is the example? What is the example for molecular absorption spectroscopy? Can anybody say? Molecular absorption spectroscopy. Example of that? No answers. Thank you. At least type in chat box. If you are not able to say orally, give your answers in chat box. Then only I come to know whether you are listening to the class or not. Okay. What is the example for molecular absorption spectroscopy? If you are not saying, I will not proceed with the class.
UV visible.
What, ma'am, Monisha?
UV visible, ma'am.
UV visible spectroscopy. Thank you. UV visible spectroscopy, and molecular emission is fluorimetry. So we are going to see about molecular emission spectroscopy. So fluorescence will be the emission of light from a molecule. Okay, molecule will be emitting the radiation. That's why the whichever molecule is going to emit the radiation is going to be analyzed spectrometrically, so that it is called fluorimetric analysis. Emission of light is known as fluorescence, hence the term is derived as fluorimetric analysis. Okay, now let's see the contents. What you are going to learn under fluorimetric analysis are theory, luminescence, factors affecting fluorescence. So theory behind fluorimetric analysis, what is luminescence, then what are the factors affecting fluorescence intensity, then quenching process, what is quenching and what are the types of quenching, then instrumentation applications, fluorescent indicators, then study of pharmaceutically important compounds estimated by fluorimetric analysis. So these 8 titles you are going to learn under fluorimetric method. Now let's move on to the first part, theory. Theory behind fluorimetric analysis. Before that, let's see what is fluorescence. Fluorescence. Fluorescence means you will be knowing some colored thing, right? Color, emission of some color. Likewise, so that it is called as fluorimetric analysis. So now let's see what is fluorescence. Fluorescence is a type of luminescence. Luminescence is nothing but emission of light caused by photons. Mainly fluorescence is a type of luminescence. So many types are there for the luminescence, and this fluorescence caused by photons. What are photons? Electromagnetic radiations. So it is caused by photons. Fluorescence is a type of luminescence caused by photons exciting a molecules. So whichever photons applicable to excite a molecule, what is exciting? Term represents converting molecule from ground state to excited state. That's what you have seen under absorption spectroscopic technique. Molecule have been moved from ground state to excited state, and for that purpose photons have been absorbed. The same photons are used to excite a molecule. So once it is gone to the excited state, it will be coming to the ground state. Thereby it will emit, the molecule will emit the radiation. That emission of radiation is called as fluorescence. So whatever photons it has been absorbed to go to excited state will be emitted as same photons as fluorescence. So that is termed as fluorescence. So raising it to an electronic excited state, and it's brought about by absorption of photons in the singlet ground state. Ground state is stable state, that is called as singlet ground state, where the electrons will be in paired condition, opposite spin in the orbitals. You could find the electrons of paired electrons in an orbital. Okay, So that state is called a singlet ground state, and it is promoted to a singlet excited state where the electrons will be unpaired. It becomes unpaired, but it will be having opposite spin. So that is called a singlet excited state. Electrons will be having opposite spin, but becomes unpaired in the excited state. How it becomes unpaired? By means of absorption of photons. And as the excited molecule returns to the ground state, since the excited molecule is unstable, it definitely comes to the stable state, that is ground state, that is the paired condition of electrons in an orbital, emits a photon of lower energy. So it will emit the photon of lower energy. You have to note down lower energy. Energy of photon is directly proportional to what? H nu. E equal to H nu, right? That means frequency. Energy when increases, wavelength will be, what happens? Decreases. When energy decreases, energy, number of waves of the frequency of radiation is decreasing, what happens with the wavelength? Wavelength will be increasing. So it becomes longer wavelength. So it will emit, the molecule will emit the photon of lower energy. That indicates longer wavelength. So whatever it has been absorbed by the molecule, if the molecule is absorbing the photons, the same energy cannot be emitted. But some energy will be lost, radiation energy will be lost within the molecule, whereby it emits only lower energy of the radiation. That lower energy causes longer wavelength radiation. That longer wavelength is nothing but visible radiation. That visible radiation is said here as fluorescence. So emission of light that occurs from a molecule or by the molecule due to the excitation by UV radiations, okay, photons, it will be emitting lower energy of that electromagnetic radiation. They are called as visible radiation. So in visible region, what is the visible range? What is the visible range? So that should be noted for fluorimetric analysis. So definitely fluorescence occurs between visible range only. What is the visible range? What is the UV range? One of you give answers on UV range and visible range. If you know that clearly, then only you will understand the fluorescence concept. So how the molecule is moved on to the excited state from ground state, and how it is transferred from excited state to ground state. What is the range of UV and visible? Krishna.
UV 200 to
Yeah. Say, proceed, Monisha. UV
200 to 400 nanometers.
200 to 400 nanometers, where visible is
400 to 800 nanometers.
800. So they are longer wavelength radiations, right? The visible radiations are longer wavelength radiations, where UV is shorter wavelength. So UV radiation will be of highly energetic than visible radiation. So assume that the molecule whichever responsible for giving fluorescence, what happens? It will be first absorbing UV radiation and it will emit visible radiation. Okay, that visible radiation only gives the colored radiation, right? It can differentiate different colors from Vidyar colors. All Vidyar colors can be differentiated, and it can be, the intensity of those colors can be analyzed by visible spectrometry, right? So same way, fluorescence, all colored radiations, whatever colored radiation is emitted, that will be in the visible radiation. So that is called visible range, that is called fluorescence. Where what radiation it will be absorbing to go from ground state to excited state? UV range. UV range will be high energy radiation. So high energy radiation is absorbed, and then low energy radiation is emitted. So UV is absorbed, visible is emitted. So which corresponds to longer wavelength than the absorbed photons. So what is fluorescence? Absorbed photons will be having lower wavelength or shorter wavelength than emitted photons. So that is called fluorescence. So to analyze this type of emitted radiation by the molecule is called fluorescence spectroscopy. So whatever molecule is having fluorescent in nature, and the fluorescent molecule or fluorescent emitting molecule can be analyzed by fluorescence spectroscopy. We are going to see what kind of molecules will emit fluorescence. And what are the factors will affect fluorescence intensity, and what are the various type of luminescence, everything we are going to discuss now, and what kind of instruments are used to analyze this fluorimetric compounds, fluorescent compounds. So what is fluorescence then? It is a type of luminescence caused by photons. Photons, what it will do first, the molecule, fluorescent molecule, it will it will move from ground state to excited state by absorbing the radiation, that is of high energetic radiation. Once it is going to the excited state, it is an unstable state and it has to come to ground state by emitting the absorbed radiation. But it will not emit the same amount of radiation what it has been absorbed. Some energy loss will be there at the excited state, and while coming to the ground state, it will emit only lower energy radiation. When energy is reduced, wavelength becomes longer. So the longer wavelength radiation is emitted. So that is what the concept behind fluorescence. Let's see the brief theory about a fluorimetric method by using this diagram. This diagram is called as Jablonski diagram, who discovered in 1933. And it is a schematic representation of the transition of electronic state of a molecule during the fluorescence phenomenon. During the fluorescence phenomenon, what are the different electronic states occurs, and what is the difference between fluorescence and phosphorescence? This all will be explained with this diagram. Okay, you can well draw this diagram and you can explain nicely about the theory of fluorimetry. Now I'll explain what is Jablonski diagram and what is fluorescence and phosphorescence from this. Okay, hope you have understood what is fluorescence. It is emission of light. Emission of light means, don't think that we will be analyzing some colored radiation, means colored solution. Will not be analyzing colored solution like colorimetric method. In fluorimetric method, we will be using colorless solution only. Since colorless solutions will absorb UV radiation and it will be going to the excited state, while coming to the ground state, it will emit in the visible region. That is considered as fluorescence. It is emitting fluorescence. Okay, but it is not the colored solution is analyzed by fluorimetry. Here you will be getting doubt, right? In visible spectroscopy, we are analyzing colored solution. But here also it is emitting in visible region, so you will be thinking that it will be of colored solution. No, it is the diluted, very diluted colorless solutions are used for fluorimetric analysis. This point you have to note it down. Very diluted colorless solutions are analyzed for fluorimetric method. Okay, but very you, even if you use colored solution also, both excitation and emission will be in visible region. For colorless solution, absorption definitely will be in UV region and emission definitely will be in visible region. So that is what the concept in fluorimetric method. But the solution must be very diluted. I will say you how the concentration of solution will affect the fluorimetry. Now let's see what is fluorescence first. Okay, you can observe the ground state electrons. They are in paired condition and opposite spin. Two electrons in paired condition and in opposite spin. Just a second, my battery got low. I'll wait for 2 minutes. I'll put charge. Okay, let's proceed now. So what diagram we are going to discuss about now regarding fluorimetric method? Jablonski diagram. This diagram describes the theory behind fluorimetric analysis. Okay. So see the electronic condition in ground state electrons. This ground state is called as singlet ground state. Okay, singlet state. Where the electrons are paired and opposite spin. It has opposite spin, and after absorbing the photons, photons of higher energy, mostly in UV region, and it will be moving to excited state, where in excited state the electrons will be unpaired. It becomes unpaired, no paired electrons you can find, but of opposite spin. The spin will not be changed, but it becomes unpaired in excited state. So that is called excited state, and it is unstable state. And again it has to come to ground state by emitting the radiation as fluorescence. Okay, and this excited state, why the electron energy last means, the electronic energy last, radiation energy last at excited state, so that only lower energy of radiation is emitted as fluorescence means it is going to internal conversion state. That is excited state of singlet, excited state to another excited state, it is converted. That is due to collisional deactivation between the molecules. Whichever is going to excited state, due to collisional deactivation and some vibrational energy, due to vibrational energy of the molecule, some energy at the excited state is lost, so it becomes a longer wavelength and less energy radiation goes back to the ground state. And that is called as fluorescence. And fluorescence is immediate emission of radiation, that is in nanoseconds. Nano means 10⁻⁹ seconds it will be emitted, so immediate emission of light is called fluorescence. Where at the excited state the electron will be converted to intersystem crossing, means it will undergo intersystem crossing at the conditions of absence of oxygen. If no oxygen is present at excited state, then the electron will be converted to T1. T1 represents triplet state. Okay, triplet state. So from singlet excited state to triplet excited state, the electron will be converted, where the electron spin will be changed here. It is unpaired only, but it becomes same spin, that not opposite spin. Both the electrons will be having same spin. So this is called triplet state. So in the excited state, the electron is converted to triplet state, where the electron spin is same, and this process is called intersystem crossing. Okay, and from this is also unstable state, and has to come to ground state by emission of the remaining radiation. This is called phosphorescence. It takes microseconds, more than microseconds. Okay, it is not a immediate emission, it is delayed emission. Okay, so delayed emission of light is called as phosphorescence. And it takes time to cross in the system crossing process, and then the electron spin where it is changed, and it has to change the spin to come to ground state. At the ground state it becomes opposite spin, and for this it takes time, so that in microseconds, it takes more than microseconds to emit the radiation and to come to the ground state. So delayed emission is called as phosphorescence, immediate emission is called as fluorescence. So fluorescence occurs in nanoseconds, where phosphorescence occurs in microseconds. So this is what called as fluorescence and phosphorescence, where electrons become, what is the electronic state in all the states means it is a paired and opposite spin. Here becomes unpaired, but the spin is not changed. In triplet state, what happens, spin is changed, and also it is in unpaired condition only, but while in a ground state only it becomes paired and it has opposite spin. So this is stable state, and excited state are unstable states. Okay, fluorescence is immediate emission of photons, where phosphorescence is a delayed emission of photons. So this is the difference between fluorescence and phosphorescence. Okay. is about a theory behind fluorimetry, how the electronic states are present during the fluorescence emission. Now let's see about the second part, luminescence. What is luminescence and its types? So luminescence is nothing but spontaneous emission of light by a substance not resulting from heat or cold light. Okay, it is spontaneous emission of light by a substance, but it is not resulting from heat or cold light. Okay, so that is called luminescence. Luminescence is generally called as emission of light by a substance. Let's see the different types of luminescence. Different types of luminescence. You can find 7 category of luminescence: chemiluminescence, crystalloluminescence, electro, mechanoluminescence, photo, radio, and thermoluminescence. And these are some subcategories related to the major category of luminescence. Bioluminescence, where bio means luminescence or emission of light occurs from living thing. Then electrochemiluminescence, from the electrochemical luminescence occurs. Lyoluminescence, from the muscle. Candoluminescence, it is due to some source, I forgot, some vibrational source. Okay, candoluminescence. You can see the meaning of each luminescence process. And it is not necessary for you. Only the photoluminescence, fluorescence and phosphorescence is mostly required. Just to know about the types of luminescence, I have given all the types of luminescence here. Okay, if you want the explanation for this, you can check in the net also. In the Wikipedia itself, you can get it about luminescence. Okay, chemiluminescence, crystalloluminescence, electroluminescence, mechanoluminescence, photo, radio, and thermoluminescence, where fluorescence and phosphorescence comes under photoluminescence. That means emission of light is due to photons. It is not due to fluorescence and phosphorescences, not due to crystal, not due to electrical, not due to mechanical, radio, thermo, or chemical. It is due to photons. Fluorescence and phosphorescence are interrelated. Since it is due to photons, the emission of light is occurring. Where immediate emission causes fluorescence, delayed emission causes phosphorescence. This is what you need to understand under luminescence. Let's move on to factors affecting fluorescence now. There are around 12 factors I have given here according to the references for under factors affecting fluorescence intensity. One is concentration. Second one is quantum yield of fluorescence. Then intensity of incident light. Quantum term represents what? Photons. Quantum yield of fluorescence. Intensity of incident light. Incident light is the monochromatic light that is coming from the source. Then absorption, oxygen, pH, temperature and viscosity, photo decomposition, quenches, scatter, conjugation, and nature of substituent group. So these are all various factors will affect fluorescence intensity. So based on intensity only, we can analyze the compound concentration of compound. Based on color intensity, if the concentration is low, then color intensity will be less. If the concentration is high, intensity will be high. So based on that only, how it is decreased or increased with the following factors will be discussed now. And it is an important frequently asked question. Many times it is asked in a university exam. So it is an important question under fluorimetry. What are the factors affecting fluorescence intensity? So you have to write what is fluorescence, what is fluorescence, what is the theory behind fluorescence, what is luminescence, where fluorescence and phosphorescence are coming under luminescence. It is a type of luminescence we have seen. So what kind of luminescence they are? Photoluminescence. Okay. Then let's see how the photoluminescence is affected by different factors. In that, mainly fluorescence we are going to discuss, not phosphorescence. You know, phosphorescence is delayed emission of light. So we are not going to discuss about, we cannot quantify the molecule if the delayed emission of fluorescence is found. So fluorescence is the means accurate, by fluorescence only we can get accurate concentration of molecule. That's why we are going to study about fluorimetry. And phosphorescence is not used for quantitative method. Okay, listening, right? So what is fluorescence and phosphorescence? Can anyone say the difference between what is fluorescence and phosphorescence?
Delayed emission of light is phosphorescence.
Okay, immediate emission is fluorescence. Thank you, Jackson. Now let's see the factors affecting fluorescence intensity. First one is concentration. Before that, I have summarized all the factors. They will comprise of majorly two factors. One is depending on intrinsic chemical structure of a molecule. This fluorescence intensity will depend on two major factors. Okay, one is intrinsic structure of a molecule. What is the chemical structure? Based on that only fluorescence intensity will be either increased or decreased will be decided. Then environment of the molecule. At what environment you are analyzing the molecule, at what solvent it is, and what pH, what temperature, what viscosity, whether based on the environmental factors. So these two only mainly affects the fluorescence intensity. Based on that only these all sub factors have been decided. Now let's see the concentration. It is the major factor. Concentration, I already told, very diluted solutions only are analyzed in fluorimetric method, unlike UV visible. In UV visible, you can use around 100 milligrams per ml, but here it will be minimum, that means less than 10 milligram only can be used. Less than 10 milligram per ml solution can be analyzed by fluorimetric method. So concentration to be noted should be very diluted, very low concentration we need to analyze. That's what explained with these two calibration curves. It is calibration curve. First one represents at low concentration, this one represents at high concentration, and y-axis represents fluorescence intensity, percentage fluorescence intensity, and x-axis represents concentration of fluorescent compound, fluorescent emitting substance, okay, fluorescent species. At low concentration, you can find the linearity so that it will obey Beer-Lambert's law. But at high concentration, it is not always increased. It is causing the deviation. That means negative deviation occurs from the linearity curve. And this deviation is due to why it is not linear at higher concentrations means keep on increasing the concentration, it is not linear. It becomes negative deviation. Why it is going for negative deviation means at higher concentrations, this when fluorescent species increased in the cuvette, in the sample cell, if more species are present, what it happens, the emitted radiation will be absorbed by the neighboring molecule, and thereby the emitted light is lost. Likewise, the emitted light will be intercirculated within the cuvette itself. So now you cannot analyze the complete emitted radiation from all the molecules. So the emission of light losses by means of internal absorption itself in the cuvette. When it occurs when the concentration is increased. If very diluted solution, no collision is possible and no absorption of neighboring molecule is possible. So that accurate measurement is achieved with low concentration. So that only you can observe a linear curve at low concentration, and when concentration increases, fluorescence intensity decreases at higher concentration. And this type of decrease in fluorescence intensity is called as quenching. Hope you would have seen in the contents quenching. We will be discussing in brief about quenching. So this is a type of self-quenching or concentration quenching. Self means the molecule itself lost its energy by absorbing by means of other molecule. Whatever emitted light by one molecule will be absorbed by another molecule for its excitation. So that is called self-quenching or self-absorption. Or it is otherwise known as concentration quenching. Because of concentration, increased concentration, quenching occurs. Quenching represents a decrease in fluorescence intensity. Fluorescence intensity is decreased, right? Concentration, along with concentration, it is not increased, it is decreased. So it is called concentration quenching or self-quenching. When it occurs because of internal loss of radiation, emitted radiation due to absorption of radiation by neighboring molecule. This is what called as concentration quenching, and it is the major factor will affect the fluorescence intensity. So you need to remember that while going with fluorimetric analysis, concentration should be very minimum. That too below 10 milligram per ml we need to prepare. 1 to 10 milligram per ml we can prepare. Okay, mostly below 1 we need to choose 0.1, 0.2. Likewise, the concentration should be to get the linear curve. Where at low concentration will be directly proportional to the fluorescence intensity. Just a minute. So with this one factor, I'm stopping the today's class. In the next class, we will discuss in brief about the remaining factors and remaining topics under fluorimetry. Okay. Hope you have understood what is fluorescence, about the theory of fluorescence, what is Jablonski diagram for fluorescence and phosphorescence, then what is luminescence, what are the types of luminescence, and where fluorescence and phosphorescence comes under types of luminescence. And what are the factors affecting fluorescence. In that we have seen the overview of all the factors and now discussed about concentration factor. Okay, let's discuss the remaining part of fluorimetric analysis in the next class. Thank you all. Your cooperation is required, then only I can move fastly. Okay, prepare and come when I ask. Come earlier. To join the class itself, it takes 15 minutes, so I may not cover many topics. Kindly cooperate with me. Thank you all. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And get prepared for your second sessional exam.